Now your pattern has told you to remove the waste yarn, so I'm going to demonstrate how that is done. Your piece will be however big you've knit. I stopped with just after a few rows, and now I'm going to remove waste yarn. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the pin that was holding that chain and keeping it from being pulled out. And I'm going to slowly pull it out. And I'm going to tell you that there are some people who will actually take their knitting needle, and if you're going to do it this way, I recommend you get a smaller needle than the project calls for. So like if you're, like get a size 1 or a size 0 to do this with, and they actually go in and pick up the legs of the stitches before they remove the waste yarn. That I do not find is easy, but again, it's 99% opinion and 1% fact. So my opinion is it's not as easy, so I do it the way I'm going to demonstrate to you. So I slowly begin unchaining, and then I hold my thumb below the stitch, pull out a chain, pick it up. Sometimes it's a lot like tinking. I will just stick my needle in the next stitch and then pull the chain out. Stick it in the next stitch and then pull the chain out. Stick it in the next stitch and then pull the chain out. If it's tiny work, you might not be able to see it as easily, so you may have a little bit more trouble. But again, if you're having trouble picking up stitches, a good tip is always to use a needle smaller than the one that you're using in your project. So I'll pick up that last stitch. So now if you notice, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. So when I'm all done, you see this loop out here? I'm going to point to it with my crochet hook. This loop right here that it's going through, that has to become a stitch, or I'll be 1 stitch short on my pattern, because originally I had 6 stitches. I need to have 6 stitches now. So now I have 6, and I'll pull out the waste yarn. Now I'm ready to start knitting. And they're a little offset, but that's because you're knitting from the other end, and that's very normal. So I'm going to take my yarn, and now I'm going to attach it and start knitting. And again, my preferred method of knitting is continental, but if you knit with the wrap or the throw, all you will need to do is just switch hands and wrap. So it does not matter which way you knit, it's all knitting. And there you have it. I picked up my waste yarn, removed my waste yarn, picked up my stitches, and started knitting a new color.